Hey guys, welcome back to Strand Farm. Happy Leap Day and happy last day of the Three Rivers Pantry Challenge. In honor of the last day of the Pantry Challenge, I thought this would be a great time to show you guys how I'm going to make some lentils and rice. I was inspired to make this based on the Happy Caravan, and I will link their YouTube channel below, but I have seen them make this so many times and it looks so good. I don't have exactly the same ingredients that they use, so I'm just going to do the best with what I have. So let's get started. First up, I'm going to cut up, I had found a little bit of bacon in my freezer, so I've cut that up into small pieces, and I'm going to put that into my hot Dutch oven and crisp up that bacon. As you can see, I've got a small saucepan sitting over to the side, and in that I've got some rice. This spoon was actually made by William, and his YouTube channel is the Permaculture Consultant, and I will link his channel down below. But he made this rice spoon and gave it to me, and to be honest, I use it literally every time that I make rice. It works so well. 2 cups of jasmine rice with 4 cups of water. I also added some veggie seasoning mix that I have just to give it a little bit more flavor since I'm just using water. Here's a bunch of the pantry stuff that we're going to put into our lentils. But before we do, Moose wanted to say happy last day of the pantry challenge. Quick check on the rice. We'll just give it a little stir. So the rice is done, pretty much done. I'm going to go ahead and pull it off the stove since the stove is getting hotter. I don't want the bottom of my rice to burn. So I'm just going to let it, it's almost done. I'm just going to let it sit here with the lid on, and it can finish up over the last couple minutes. Alright, the rice can sit there. Now we're going to start working on our lentils. So I've got red lentils here, and I used 2 cups of lentils. And what I like to do before I add them to my dish is really sift through them well. And I say that because I have found, and I'll show you here in just a second, see, like, these don't look really good, and then every now and then I'll find like a pebble or something like that. So I do like to sift through my lentils before I add them in. Okay, so but before we add our lentils, what I want to do is I need to get a little bit of this bacon fat out. I want to keep some of it, probably like a tablespoon or so, but the rest of it I want to get it out because I don't want my lentils to be too greasy. So I'm just scooping out a little bit of that fat and putting it into my fat jar. So right here I've got some freeze-dried leeks that I did, I think it was last spring. This was probably about a half a cup of leeks. If I had onions, I would use those instead. Next up, I've got some freeze-dried black trumpet mushrooms that we harvested. I believe these were back in 2022. They've just been sitting in the back of my pantry, but what a perfect time to utilize a few of those. So I'm going to throw those in. And then next, I also found some dried thyme in the back of my pantry. So we'll add in about a tablespoon of that. Here are some freeze-dried bell peppers that I want to just get used up. So I'm going to crumble those up because I have those preserved as slices. So instead of dicing them, I'm just going to kind of crush them up here. Now we can add in those lentils. We'll just dump them right on top. And here I've got bay leaves, so I'm going to put in one of those. I decided to use a little bit of white cooking wine, so just a splash there. Here I've got some frozen garlic cloves, so I'll add in a small handful of those. Next we'll add in a pint of canned carrots with the juice and all. This is probably like maybe 4 carrots worth. And then I've got a big old can, I believe this is 28 ounces of tomato sauce. Next I'm going to add in some vegetable broth. I'm starting out with just 2 cups. We'll throw some black pepper on top of there. and a pinch of salt. We don't like to use too much salt around here. About a teaspoon of sugar, and we'll give that a nice little stir. I only need 6 cups of liquid to cook the lentils, but since I added a lot of freeze-dried items, I think I am going to need some extra liquid. So we'll just keep an eye on it here and add some more liquid as we go. Looks like right here it needs a little bit more liquid, so I added about a cup more of the vegetable broth. We'll just keep checking on it as it cooks down, and as those vegetables rehydrate, we can add more liquid. I decided halfway through the cooking time that I wanted to add some molasses. The lentils just had like a little bit too much of a red, like a tang to them from all the tomato sauce. So I'm adding about a tablespoon or so of blackstrap molasses. We'll get that all stirred in nice, and then we'll put the lid back on to let it simmer some more. In total, it probably simmered for maybe like 45 minutes or so on the stove. And eventually, you know, as we're getting towards the end here, my lentils are getting more cooked and vegetables rehydrated. I ended up adding that last little bit of vegetable broth, which would have made 4 cups total. And so that ended up being basically the perfect consistency to the type of lentils that I was going for. And here you can see a very thinly sliced cucumber, and I will just put in a quick disclaimer. I asked James to pick this up while he was already out in town, and so he spent $1. I'm adding about a teaspoon of onion powder, adding some freeze-dried wild onions, about a tablespoon or so of some lime juice, and then I have a little bit left over of some hot pepper jelly that I made with some peppers from last year's garden. So I'm going to put in about a tablespoon of that. And then here I've got some olive oil, so we'll just put a drizzle of that in there, maybe a tablespoon or so. Now we can put our cucumbers in, and that one cucumber fits nicely in this quart jar, thankfully. So we'll get a lid on there, and I'm going to shake this up really well. And then we've got kind of a makeshift cucumber salad to go with our lentils and rice, inspired by the Happy Caravan. Last but not least, as a finishing touch, I'm going to fry up some eggs so that we can get the full experience of Happy Caravan's lentils and rice. And here's our final plates. Alright, let me know if you guys made this one, and I hope y'all had a great pantry challenge. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Wow, there's some really good flavors in this.